Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a part two to yesterday's talk. So if you watch that video, this video will make a lot of sense to you because yesterday I explained in that video 3D Earth, 4D Earth, and 5D Earth and how it's all working, and that it's actually template overlays and it's not a physical place that we're going. It's more of a dimensional or a frequency that we're actually shifting into, which is going to make the difference as to whether we are on 3D Earth, 4D Earth, or 5D Earth, okay? And so it's all templates, and I wanted to explain it a little bit deeper today and show you how it works, because while humanity is becoming multidimensional and our bodies are shifting and changing every day, many are not realizing that the earth is also becoming multidimensional, and that multidimensionality started to occur back in 2015. And it was a buildup, it was a progression that year. How I remember this is that I actually had a template wipe that took me offline for 3 months at the end of the completion of Gaia's integration. So that completion of Gaia going like galactic or multidimensional happened in December of 2015. In October of 2015, I went down physically with a template wipe, and I could not get out of bed from literally the first week in October all the way to January 1st, 2016. So I was in bed, barely functionable. My body was completely achy. It felt like a Mack truck ran me over. It's what we would refer to as a flu, but flu is really frequency light upgrades. And you guys have heard me talk about this. I've written about this for what seems like hundreds of years. But that activation was very significant because back at that time when Gaia completed going multidimensional or galactic, you could say, I also completed my physical integration of embodiment, embodying that higher self aspect. And what I wanted to bring forth today was how that is, how that works, what it feels like, and dispel some of the myths that we have surrounding why our body is doing what it's doing. So some of you can really let go even more and just be in flow with everything that's presenting or wanting to shift in your reality. Because the more we fight and struggle with it, the greater the challenge is going to be and the greater the pain is. Okay. So back at that time, what I could tell you is I was doing ascension work for years already. And I was, integrating many aspects, many fractaled soul aspects, and trying to call through and anchor in my higher self, which the first one was Aluna, which is very fairy-like energy. It's about love, very angelic. And so that was the first one. So I was embodying this whole love aspect back at that time. When I completed that embodiment, that shift, that multidimensional shift in December of 2015 with Gaia, I remember my ability to channel came online. Suddenly I was channeling the Council of Nine, which are 9 oversouls. I was channeling Ra, like whole, Polaris, the Galactic Federation. I mean, I was, whatever was out there that wanted to commune with me, I was working with it. But as fast as that came in, that only lasted a year, because as fast as that was coming in and I was channeling and I was writing and sharing, because when that activation happens, we're very much pushed to share the work that's coming through us. And that's what was happening with me. And so knowing myself as a channel, I was always intuitive, psychic. I could read tarot cards and everything. And, never considered myself a channel, but then everything changed. And suddenly, I was bringing through a lot of these beings from, all over the place. And it was very, very interesting time for me. And so, that's what happened. So when we open up to our galactic aspects, we start to channel, we start to bring in a lot of information coming through. And we feel very pushed and called to share what it is that we know. And so one of the things that's most important to have an understanding of is that when the earth shifts, we are also shifting because we're of her. And so when Gaia is going through her process, activating her multidimensional self, we're activating our multidimensional self. That's how the earth is now able to give us access to 4D in our waking state, 5D in our waking state, all the way up to 12D, because all the way up to 12D has already been anchored into the fields of Gaia through these templates. It's just that we can't see them, and we're not going to access them until we raise our vibration high enough that we'll be able to access them in the way that we need to do that. Okay. So those of you that were following me yesterday, you know that I had created this little card template showing our 3D Earth, 4D, and then 5D. And I was talking a lot about these being, 4D and 5D being template overlays, a gridded matrix that was overlaying the actual 3D Earth. And the reason that we don't want to fix 3D Earth, and we want to step up into these new higher light frequencies, these new matrices that are holding the plasma light, the crystalline light, and all of that, is because we can't fix 3D. It was created that way for the purpose of us playing the game of separation, for us allowing ourselves to experience what it's like to be unconscious so that we could ascend ourselves by descending our higher self and letting the higher self come through. And so what's happening now is I've made this new little template for over this, right? So these earth experiences have these templates. So the black would be the old earth template where there was a lot of distortion in the field. Now I didn't draw it in completely because I want to show the 4D template overlay and the 5D template overlay. And you can see everything is intersecting, right? Which is why I said yesterday, we're actually bouncing back and forth depending on our frequency. So when you're hitting these higher level blissful states of being where you're happy for no reason and you're loving life and everything is wonderful, that blissful, happy for no reason, you love everybody, that's 5D. So in that moment, you've hit that 5D frequency, which puts you in here in this 5D template, okay? And now the key is to hold that light frequency of bliss and joy and happy and love so that you can keep anchoring in that template into your field and overlay the template that's in your field that holds the 3D distortion in it, right? And the same thing with 4D. When people start waking up and they see other options and then they start to question things, there may have cognitive dissonance, which makes them go into denial. They don't want to see it, but it's very hard to miss because it's staring in your face. And that 4D energy is like the wake up, right? And when you anchor in enough of this 4D template, this over here, you're anchoring in the waking state of 4D, which obviously I said yesterday, 4D is the astral realm where we only went when we went to sleep and we dreamed. But now we're doing so much clearing, we're actually accessing it in our waking state of being. Now these grids that I'm pointing to on here are so incredibly important. And the reason that these grids are important is because these grids represent our body, just like it represents Gaia's body, okay? If you think about these templates, each of these templates is a different, is like, let's say a different light body for Gaia, like it's a different light body for us, right? And we would first say we activate to light body, then we activate to plasma light body, then we activate to plasma crystalline light body, then we activate to etheric light body, right? And so the same thing is happening here with Gaia, which it's not three separate Earths, right? Going all the way up to 12D. It's not three separate. These are template overlays. So as we raise the frequency, it's like moving it higher and higher and higher. So it becomes like a string of Earth. So original Earth is here. 4D is just a little above it. 5D is a little above that. 60, 70, right? And it's not in a direct line because dimensions don't work that way either. Once you hit 4D, you can like go anywhere. So it's not in a straight up and down line, but it just I'm showing you what I want to do is point out that through the higher light frequencies, we're hitting higher aspects of ourselves. Now, why this feels so physical for us, because that's a really big thing for everybody. It's very hard for many to get this thought anchored in to why it's so physical and why we're feeling so much in our body. It has to do with these grids that are overlaying the earth, right? The 3D earth. I drew it in black because it represents the old distortion that we're playing in. This grid information in the 3D earth, it's in our muscles, it's in our bones, it's in our nervous system. It's woven or interwoven throughout our whole entire body, right? So when I say to you, teeth aching, a lot of people might be feeling that right now, and it has to do with control. That's because if your teeth are aching, you're having a hard time letting go of control in your reality and just being in flow and just going along with whatever is presenting that needs to have your attention in that moment. But when we go into resistance and we don't want to be in that flow, then we are fighting with our physical self. We're fighting with our muscles, our bones, our nervous system. And you have to remember, over the last couple of years, going back to, 2016, especially 2016, 2017, especially 2017, when things really got into the physical, and that around October 2017 on Gaia and in our bodies, people were really feeling it so much more. The reason for that is because we had heavy duty plasma back then. The plasma is more crystalline plasma or plasma crystalline light frequency now. So it's not as, it's not as intensified, bringing the distortion to, the forefront so that it could be cleared and moved out. Okay. So that plasma light frequency was really coming in hot and heavy to clear out the distortion. And why we're feeling it in our nervous system for, the anxiety, the panic attacks, the moments that we have a fear, incredible fear, where we know our power, but yet we feel challenged by the fear of letting go. The reason for that is because when we're in the light frequency of gamma, that light frequency is working through our neurons. It's working through our nervous system, our immune system, trying to help us upgrade. But when we're in resistance and we're fighting it, we're fighting against ourselves. We're not fighting something out there. We're fighting what's inside, what's in our muscles, what's in our bones, what's in our tissues, what's in our fascia, right? And so, I mean, think about it. We're made up of a mass amount of water, and the plasma is a step above water. It's coming through the body, and it's like the roto-rooter. You've heard me say that 1,000 times in everything that I share. It's like the roto-rooter coming through, clearing everything out, wants to clear out the distortion and move it on. It's time to let it go, right? But it's our mind that has such a hard time with that, because where is our mind focused? Our mind is focused on this 3D embodiment, because we grew up in that and believe that that's the only way it could be. That's the stories that we tell ourselves when we're stuck in the past. We're stuck in the story of who we were in the past, not wanting to let that go. And because of the fact that we're not releasing it, we start to have all of these symptomatic problems. It becomes the aches and pains in the body. When we're having the joint pains, it's lack of flexibility. When we're in resistance to releasing the distortion, when we're in resistance to seeing things from another way, guess what? Our body will make us get in bed. We'll activate a flu. And we will have no choice but to lay in bed until our body can complete its upgrade or its activation. That's how it works. Once it became very physical in our process of ascension, there is no stopping it because we're all shifting. It's our ascension process. Nobody gets left behind unless they choose to get left behind, unless they don't want to see another way, unless they don't want to see that there's an opportunity for another experience. Okay. I know right now, a lot of people are experiencing timeline collapses. In other words, a timeline collapse is when you know something's not working for you anymore, and you don't resolve that timeline, like relationships. If the relationship is not working, let it go, just end it amicably and move yourself on because you know it's not working for you anymore. That's you closing out a timeline. Jobs, if you know the job is not for you anymore, then find something else, move yourself on, trust your universe, something else will come. If you're not closing out that timeline is going to collapse and you're going to get fired from the job. That's how it happens. When we have collapses in our lives, it's the collapse, that timeline collapse is putting us into a critical state to shift, to change, because we're not wanting to do it on our own. All of this is calling us into our mastery. Okay. Those of you that work with me, you know, I'm all about self-empowerment. I'm all about soul mastery. Okay. That's where we are right now. We're ascended masters. We know how to do this, but when we let the ego run the show and we get in our way, we're no longer allowing the higher self in to help us navigate and do a better job of navigating. A lot of people who know that I am really focusing my intention on being in the highest timeline because I want to create a move for myself that is in more alignment than where I feel like I am now. I know I need to complete whatever it is that I need to have as an experience in the house where I am. And once I complete that, I'll be moving on. I've had many people say to me, well, are you looking? And I would say no. And they're like, well, why aren't you looking? Maybe you should look here. Maybe you should look there. And I'm like, no. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because that's the ego. The ego wants to control where I'm going. I don't care where I'm going. That's not important to me. What's important to me was what it's going to feel like when I get there. Okay, that's what's important. So letting go and just letting ourselves move in the way that we have to move. Okay, because when we're in resistance, the pain receptors kick in, and then we're feeling pain in our body. And the only way to resolve that is to let go so you could go into expansion and those pain receptors can clear. How do you think we do that? We go to sleep. Right? So we have to lay down. So all of this has been orchestrated. As you could see, it's a beautiful dance between ourselves, Gaia, the solar system via the sun, in its expression of itself, bringing through these solar rays and these higher light frequencies. And so we really have to just, take the time to see what it is that needs our attention in our reality. Otherwise, we're stopping ourselves and creating greater pain than we really need to experience. And now I know a couple of you have let me know that you're having interesting experiences. So I just want to share on this. So if you are feeling very lightheaded, very floaty, a little tipsy, and you're clean, you haven't had any alcohol or anything like that, and you feel like you're falling, that's your gravity going. And when the gravity goes, that's our ascension, right? Our consciousness raising into the higher light frequencies. That's what we're supposed to feel like. I know many people are panicking with that, thinking that there's something wrong, they have to ground. We're not doing that anymore. Okay. We're not grounding the old ways anymore because Gaia can't support that. We're not anchoring into this old earth grid. We don't want to anchor into this old earth grid, right? We want to anchor into 4D, 5D, and preferably stay in 5D and anchor into the 5D grid so that we're accessing those higher light frequencies. We can be love in every single moment. Okay. And that's really very, very important. It's really important to just pay attention to what's taking place in our body and just allowing ourselves to be in that experience. Now, a lot of interesting things are going to start happening. Now, you notice I didn't say weird, bizarre, or crazy, or strange. Those are low vibrational words. We have to start watching the words that we're using. Interesting is a higher vibrational word. So a lot of interesting things are going to happen. You may put something down and go back to retrieve it and find it's not in that place because you put it down in one dimensional frequency and you go back having slipped into a different dimensional frequency and look for it, and it's not there anymore because it's in the dimensional frequency that you left it in. So things are going to start to get interesting, and I choose to look at that as fun. It might make us a little loopy and feel a little challenged at times, but the more you just go with the flow and let yourself navigate in those moments, the easier it's going to become. Okay. Now, one of the things that I wanted to mention is it's very, very important to make your body as happy as possible, which makes you happy. Okay. And again, yesterday, the whole meat thing came up again. And I just want to say this, when you're meant to resolve the meat issue, eating meat, it will resolve naturally for you. Sometimes forcing it makes it happen before we're actually physically ready for it or spiritually ready for it. Trust that your body will let you know when you cannot eat meat anymore because you're not in vibrational alignment. That meat that we were eating fed the carbon-based body. We needed it, right? And so when you're at a high enough frequency, your body will tell you no more meat. We're done here. We don't need to do this anymore. Okay. So that's very, very important to keep that awareness and keep in mind. And why I say that is because when we're building these light body frequencies, we can't be focused on our weight. We can't be focused on, not supporting ourselves. If you feel like having one thing, have it, because if you're telling yourself you can't have it because it's going to make you fat, that's resistance. And then again, we're in a stressful state because we're in resistance and we're not doing what is most highly aligned with our body. There was a period of time last year where I had given up coffee because it was starting to taste like battery acid. And then for a short period of time, I was able to bring it in at the beginning of this year. And now I'm finding I can't drink it anymore because it's back to being battery acid. So I know that I'm going through another shift again and I have to honor my body. And so I've become very detached to attachment. So I don't feel attached to having coffee. I'll just have tea instead or something else, or water, which I absolutely drink all day long. But when we are doing things that make us happy and bring us into a higher state of being, that is what's going to help us shift. That's going to get us into these higher light frequencies. Remember, everything is in your body. It's not out there. It's in your body. Okay. Once we start to realize that and we stop looking outside of ourselves for everything, it will start to make sense and everything will start to shift. Okay. Um, I was talking about portals in my weekly class last night, that we talk about all this type of stuff in my class. And I was sharing about portals and the portal of the heart and giving, some information about how to work with it and whatnot. And as I was talking about the portal within the heart, because portals are not out there, they look like they're out there because that's the projection of the third eye, right? But it's not out there. It's really in us. Everything is in us. This is just a holographic projection that we're experiencing. But as I was talking about portals, I was lighting up with this light frequency as the portal within me was expanding and then closing and then expanding and then closing. And everybody that was on the call, because it's an interactive Zoom class, so that you guys can ask questions and stuff, and everybody that was on the call was seeing me glowing. I was glowing, then it died down. Then I was glowing, then it died down, right? That was the portal activating within me. I'm holding so much light frequency now that it's actually presenting on the outside. So you will actually see it on the outside as the light around me. So, when we start to realize this, everything is a light frequency, and all of these shifts, this ascension that we're going through, the grids, the templates, all of that, it's in our physical body. It is not outside of us. All right. Once we start to understand that, boy, the magic can really happen. Everything changes for you. And then you'll start to let go of what you think you need to hold on to, which is things like channeling, being a psychic medium, because then everything runs from the source within you. There is nothing outside of you anymore. It is all you, internal, because you've gone through the embodiment and embodied all of these different aspects within yourself. Okay. When we were integrating the Syrian Arcturian energies, I don't know, somewhere around 2017, I kept feeling this get her done kind of energy. That's the Syrian nature, right? Because our Arcturian is pure love. They're pure love, healing, beautiful energies. And the Syrians are very, very get her done, no nonsense kind of thing, And I was feeling that integration, and it was like really pushing me forward. And we're embodying these aspects. There's so much going on the earth right now. There's so many different frequencies and different energies, and just so much that is going on at any one given time, that it might be impossible to know everything that is happening. So, if you're out there and you're questioning and trying to seek an answer, stop seeking outside of yourself. Call it into your field. Anytime I ever need to feel something or know something, I call it in my field. Okay. Yesterday, I was playing with my universe. My mom and dad kept showing up. I kept asking for my father. I'm like, just, give me a little sign that you're here. Just, playing the game to align myself greater. And the waiter where I was eating showed up, and he introduced himself and he said, "My name is Andreas. I will be taking care of you today." And I thought, oh, that would be my father. My father's name was Andre. So I was like, okay, very, very good. And then last night I was talking to my mom, and I'm like, okay, I know you're right here with me. Like, you keep coming up all over the place. I would type a word and I'd look back at what I was typing and it would say mom. And I was laughing because, like, she's coming through me. It's not separate from me. She is, like within me, right? Because this is how it works now. And I said to her, all right, on the move, let me know what's taking place, because I feel like it's coming. I know it's coming. I've done my work. I'm ready to go. This is going to be so exciting. I'm ready. I'm looking forward to the next place. And I hear my friend's cell phone go off a couple of times this morning. And when I came downstairs, she was like, "You're not going to believe this." A friend of hers who receives messages in dream state all the time received a message that said, and she texted my friend and said, "So my guides are telling me that someone in your house is moving, or that the two of you are moving." I forget how she said it, but it definitely indicated that there was a move coming for someone or both of us in the house. And I know her thoughts is like, if I go, she doesn't want to be on Long Island alone anymore. So it's this like this sister soul connection here. So having my sister with me wherever we go would be a fun thing, because we've really aligned ourselves and done so much work since we've both been in this house together, that it's just become this just amazing evolutionary process of connecting with another in that way, in this Christed light consciousness, right? So I think that's so much fun to look forward to that. But it just came through because I called it in. I asked it to meet up with me, and it did. And so that's what I want to leave you with here. Stop looking outside of yourself. You're not going to find anything out there that you don't already have within you. Okay. That's always my message. You can ask anybody that's ever worked with me, any of my students in my class. They are all divine beings. I honor you as a divine being, no matter who you are watching this, whether it's your first time with me or your millionth time with me. you are a divine being in your own right. Stop looking outside of yourself. Start tuning in within. Start asking your universe to show up for you and bring you all the information. Let go. Let go so that you can release those matrices from your system. That 3D matrix has to go. It cannot stay in your field in these higher light frequencies. It just can't. Okay. So know that I honor you in your divine presence. I love you so, so much. And I wish you a wonderful, magical, whatever it is that you are doing. And I will see you again soon. Bye.